11:30. We're waiting for MP for 1.5 hours. We don't know where he is. Rule number 1 in video making: use the camera you have. Can you do the camera girl? Can you do the MP?
I can do it all.
Tessa makes the MP today. All right. So it's on 10. It should be fine. We have audio now and we can talk. This is the setup that we work with today. My friend Tim is here. We know each other for quite a while, and Tim is our coach for the Strengthsfinder. That's a tool that we use at Blackboat, and it's actually more important than the tool in the front. So whenever you communicate like we do, remote via different communication channels, the most important thing for anything, for Slack, for G Suite, for Office 365, is the person behind the tool. And that's always the case. So that's why we did the Strengthsfinder analysis with you, and we have the results, and I can just share like what I learned from it. So for example, my number 1 strength is achiever. So the actual doing part, being creative, being the creator. The achiever wants to do stuff, and that's what he likes. And the idea behind the Strengthsfinder is that you find out what you're not only good at, but where you use the like minimal energy, so it actually it's fun for you to do it. And that's a total different perspective than like managing weaknesses and helping people to like dive into rules, but actually knowing and leveraging what are the strengths and how can you work together. So that's what we use at Blackboat, and that's why we want to share that.
We grew up with working on weaknesses in school and family, and this is so much implemented in us. And if managers are talking to the employees, it's mostly fixing problems or challenges, and it's much easier for us to grow in our strengths.
Yeah.
So I really would like to know how it is actually changing the organization within Blackboat.
So I would say, so we actually have a map, so everyone has the top 5 strengths and knows their top 5 strengths. But we have a map with the top 10 for every employee, and we mapped it with a name and then the different strengths. And you showed us that certain areas are there: analytical, then the relationship area, I think it's like the doing area, like achieving stuff. And we saw on that map with all the employees that we're quite strong in actually the strategic part, and that we are lacking the doing part, which is quite funny because we're like all kind of doers. But it just says that we can leverage that strength. It doesn't say we cannot do the other thing. And that was obvious to us. So we then like one result was, for example, that we're quite stronger now in developing certain workshop formats that we use for clients. And then we make sure that we have the right people to then implement that stuff, like to do that stuff. This really helps. It's not that we have it always top of our minds and say like, that's it, but it helps us when there's conflict or when we discuss to see like, that's not his or her strengths. One of the challenges I see in that tool is that the words are very hard to translate. So you always need these sentences that you receive when you have your results, because you cannot reduce a person to just one word. You can reduce one strength to one word, so you like need a description.
Yeah.
So
MP is actually maximizer.
Maximizer. I have the same strengths, not a top 1, but maximizer means that he like really puts like effort into like make things high quality and takes time. And for him it's very stressful if I say as an achiever, hey, we want to have the video online no matter what, because he wants to make it like really good. And if you like read over the strengths in the description, you get the understanding.
Yeah, and that is actually one thing which is really helpful, to have the awareness in the company between all the employees. It's like a language between everybody to better understand the needs and where I'm good at and where maybe not so good at. And it's much easier to actually ask somebody to help and to couple up to achieve certain goals. And without this awareness and transparency, it's more, working in the fog actually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm happy to hear that it's working quite
Yeah,
well.
and especially if you use a lot of virtual tools and work remotely in all these transparent channels, like because transparency comes with Slack, comes with Teams, comes with Google Drive and all these tools, then it really helps because you then actually know what is happening, you know how people are communicating, and even if you don't have a top of mind, like what is Tessa's strength now and what is someone else's strength, you know you could look it up and you have a better understanding for the other side. So that's that's what helps us to keep eye level and be open for the other people. So that's all we want to share, and I hope that was helpful. Make sure you subscribe and you turn on the notifications, and make sure you subscribe to Tim's channel. I will force him now to actually set up the YouTube channel so that you guys can subscribe, because he will share more about the Strengthsfinder. German or English, are you sure yet?
Both.
Both. Multi-language. Nice one. Thanks, guys.